This is for Algebra 1, Lesson 29, and it is using unit multipliers to convert. And a lot of these you could probably do mentally, but I want you to practice showing your work, so when things get more interesting, you'll be able to do it. It'll just come natural. First of all, I want you guys to always realize when you do two things that are exactly the same, they always equal 1. You guys all know 3 over 3 is 1. You know, I could do negative 10 over negative 10, and that equals 1. Gosh, as long as you have the same thing over the same thing, it always equals 1. In fact, I could do this. Smiley face over smiley face equals 1. Okay? So I want you to realize that. Now, would you agree that 12 inches is the same thing as 1 foot? Okay? Because that's true, they are equal, basically they're the same thing, I know that 12 inches over 1 foot equals 1. Or, that's the same thing as 1 foot over 12 inches. Okay? This is going to be true for any two things that are equal. You can put them on top of each other, and they're going to always equal 1. Doesn't matter which one goes on top. Now, I want you to think about that when you're doing these conversions. Let's look at this first one. It wants 2 square feet, and it wants you to convert it to square inches. So here's what you're going to do. Even though you might be able to do this in your head, I want you to show your work. You're going to start with what you know. And I'm starting with 2 square feet. And remember what that means? That means like feet times feet. So basically I have 2 feet on the top. Over 1. So start with what you know, put it over 1. And you can always multiply by 1. Now since I'm wanting to convert feet to inches, I'm going to use this unit multiplier. Okay? Because I'm going from feet to inches. The question is, which one do I want to put on top? I mean, I can use either one of these. How do you decide? Well, since you have feet on top, you need the feet on the bottom. That way they would cancel out. So I'm going to pick this one because it has the feet on the bottom. So I'm going to multiply this by 12 inches is the same thing as 1 foot. Because you can always multiply by 1 and it doesn't ever affect the value. It may affect the looks, but it doesn't affect the value. Now notice there's 2 feet on the top and I only have 1 on the bottom. So I need to do it again. It's going to be 12 inches over 1 foot. Notice that these 2 feet right here, because feet times feet is feet squared, is going to cancel with this. And then in your calculator, you can just hit 2 times 12 times 12, which is what, 288, I believe, square inches. And you know it's square inches because you have 2 of them on the top. Okay? And that's how you show your work. And yes, I want you to show your work on all of them. Okay? Like, for example, let's do this one. You have 1 square yard. So start with what you know and put it over 1. We're wanting to convert this to feet, okay? Square feet, I should say. So you know this. You know there's 3 feet in 1 yard. So I'm either going to multiply this by 3 feet over 1 yard, because those are equal, or I'm going to multiply it by 1 yard over 3 feet. I'm going to have to pick one of these. Okay, which one do you pick? Well, go back. Do you see how you have yards on the top? Then I need to pick the one that has the yards on the bottom. So I'm going to pick this one. So I'm going to multiply by 3 feet is the same thing as 1 yard. Now, typically, I might be done, but notice I've got 2 of these, so I have to do this twice. So it's going to be 3 feet over 1 yard. Now I've got 2 yards on the bottom, and they cancel with the 2 yards on the top. So just multiply. Notice all you have down here in the bottom is 1s, so I don't have to worry about this. So I have 1 times 3, which is 9, and it's going to be feet squared. So there it is right there. Okay, so you're going to do all of these like this. Now, I kind of like this one. I circled this one because I wanted to be sure I did this one. First of all, it wants me to take yards to inches. So you're going to, I would prefer you do this in 2 steps. Use what you already know. Okay, so let's start with what we know. And the first thing is I am going to convert this to feet. I know there are 3 feet in 1 yard. Oops, forgot mine. And the reason I did this, since I had yards on the top, I wanted to be sure I put the yards on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. And you can already see that these 2 yards are going to cancel with this 1 yard. Excuse me, right there. But I want this in square inches. So now I'm going to think, gosh, how many inches are there in a foot? There's 12 inches in 1 foot. And the reason I wrote it this direction and not the other direction is because I needed, since I had the feet on the top, I needed this feet on the bottom. Now I'm going to do it twice. There's 2 of them. So I'm going to have to do this twice. 12 inches all over 1 foot. Okay, so you can see that these 2 feet cancel with these 2 feet. So in your calculator, this is going to be a huge number, but you only have ones in the bottom, so who cares? But in your calculator, take 9 times 3 times 3 times 12 times 12 equals, you're going to get some huge number, and I'm not going to take time to crunch that in, inches squared. Okay, so that's how you do that. All right, so hopefully that'll be enough to get you started for lesson 29.